Hello guys, my name is Krebs. Welcome back to my YouTube channel again, and it's yet another tutorial video on drama and tech, okay? And so in today's video we want to talk about IEM system, okay? Good. Before I'll go into today's video, I want us to have a recap on what we learned the other time on the channel. So the other time, all the video was captured on audio signals, okay? So it's very detrimental that you understand whatever transpired before you can grasp what I'm going to teach today, okay? So we said the other time that audio signals are signals that pass through and from an instrument through a medium, okay? So for instance, if I take this sound card, for instance, an input signal, okay, will be the signal that is coming from the instrument through this device. So let's say a keyboard, drums, bass, or whatever, okay? And then an output signal will be the sound that is passing through this device for hearing, okay? So the output signal is for hearing. The input signal is what is coming from the instrument, okay? So that's why we said you have two types of the audio signals, input and then output. And then we said there can be two forms of the audio signals, whether it's a mono signal or it's a stereo signal. We said a mono signal is a one-channel signal, okay? And then we said a stereo is a paired mono, okay? So for instance, if I take this cable, for instance, this is a mono, this is a mono. If you combine these two together, we're going to have a stereo, okay? So that's what we talked about the last time. Good. In today's video, we are talking about IEM system. Our itinerary for today will be what an IEM system is, an important reason or a reason why we use the IEM system, the type of IEM system that we have, and then the transformations of the IEM systems to the forms that we have, the processes. And then we talk about how to record your in-ear monitoring system mix, and then we talk about how to set up an IEM system in your church, okay? So that's what we're going to do today. Now the gadgets I'm using today is Behringer MA400, okay? MA stands for monitoring amp, okay? This is the Altron HA400. HA stands for head amp. And I'm using the Focusrite 404 HD, okay, which is 4 inputs and then 4 outputs, okay. I'm using the Focusrite 2i2 third generation, 2 inputs and then it has 2 outputs. This is a third generation. I have my iReg1 here. I have my in-ear here. I have my Type-C converter. I have 2 stereo jacks for in-ear. I have my mono stereo jack to jack. I have my Type-C charger cable. I have my MIDI cable, okay, and then I have 16-inch stereo jack to an 8-inch, okay, good. So these are the gadgets and stuff I'm going to use. I have my iPhone 5C here also as well, and then this is the MacBook I'm using, okay. Good. Now, itinerary number 1. What is an IEM system? An IEM system is a system in audio engineering which allows the musician to hear themselves in real time, okay? So it is inculcated in large events, in large auditoriums, okay? So let's say you are playing an event in a stadium or in a large auditorium. Sometimes our human ear tends to listen to the audio forms in delay, especially with reference to the front of house. So if I hit the tom, and let's say there's much reverb or there's much echo in the room, if I'm safe to say that, you tend to hear the sound later after you've played the drum. So how to correct that? That is where the in-ear system comes in, okay? So it allows the musician to listen to whatever they are playing in real time, okay? It also allows the musicians to communicate among themselves without tapping the fellow musician on stage. You're supposed to be professional on stage, so the in-ear system helps the musician to do that. So that is the basic purpose of the in-ear monitoring system and how it is meant in musicianship or on stage play, okay? So good. Now, there are types of the IEM system and there are forms of the IEM system processes, okay? So the type of the IEM system defines the form that is supposed to be used, okay? So we have the analog system and then we have the digital system, okay? Now, the digital system or the analog system defines the form. So you can have an analog to analog system, an analog to a digital system, a digital to a digital system, and I'll explain. If I say an analog to an analog system, what I mean is that the in-ear monitoring system I'm using is analog, but the mixing console I'm using is also analog. If I say an analog to a digital system, That means the in-ear monitoring system I'm using is analog. The mixing console is digital. If I say a digital to a digital system, that means the in-ear monitoring system I'm using is digital. My mixing console is also what? Digital. And so that is that. Now, the types of the IEM system that we have is a analog or either a digital. Okay. Now, the digital systems are the P16, DP48, the Lexus ones, and the rest. Those are the digital in-ear monitoring system. Okay. The analog forms of the in-ear monitoring system are the Behringer MA400, Behringer HA400, Behringer HA8000, P1, Behringer P1, Behringer P2, Behringer PM1, Behringer PM2. Okay, those are the analog forms of the in-ear monitoring system. And so today our focus will be on that. Another time we talk about the digital system out of everything. Okay, good. So, great. When you take one system of the analog, which is the Behringer MA400, which is this, I said the MA stands for monitoring amp. Okay, so this works in tangential with the Behringer PM1, Behringer P1, Behringer PM2. Okay, just that those ones you can tend to clog it at the holes of your devices or your trousers. Okay, but the Behringer MA400, it just has to be placed on a static surface. Okay, good. This Behringer MA400 has one input and then one output as well. Okay, so one musician or a single musician can listen to through this device at a time. Only one musician can listen to this or through this device at a time. It has a mic through and then a mic input. So you can use this device to record your vocals to a DAW. Okay, that is this. And then you have two options for the output. Either you're using the 16-inch jack or you're using the 8-inch jack. And then you can also switch between mono and stereo. So the feed that you want to listen, you can tend to switch it to mono or stereo. Okay, so that is the aspect of the MA400. Its disadvantage is that only one musician can listen through this at a time. Okay, that is that. When you take the Behringer HA400, HA stands for head amp, or the Altron HA400, depending on the brand you are using. This has one input with 4 outputs. Okay, 4 outputs. So, meaning 4 musicians can listen through this device at a time. Okay, so if you are in church, you have a 4-member band, you guys can listen through this at a time. Unlike the Behringer MA400, where one musician listens through one device at a time. Okay, so that is that. So here you have an input and then 4 outputs. But a disadvantage of it is that you cannot record any sound through this, unlike the MA400. Okay. And then the advantage of this over this is that many people can listen through it than this. Okay, so that is how these things work. Now, how do you set up an in-ear monitoring system in your church? There are basic things you might need. If you are using an analog mixing console, okay, if it is closer to you guys, fair enough. You just have a long cable coming from the aux section, and then it is passing through the input of this device, and then you guys are listening to your mixes. Okay. If you're using the digital system, that's the analog to the digital system, like my church. Okay, we use the analog to the digital system. We are using the S32 stage box connected to the S32 mixing console by Ethernet cable. So we have 16 outputs. Out of the 16 outputs, the band uses 9 of them. Myself, I'm on channel 1 and 2. Ima is on channel 3 and 4. Parkour is on channel 5 and 6. Mike is on channel 8 and 9. And then Hepta is on channel 7. Okay, so only Hepta's channel is a mono signal. Now, what do we do in our setting? In our setting, every musician has an in-ear amp. Okay, so Parkour, myself, and Hepta, we use the MA400. Mike and Ima uses the HA400 each. Okay, and I will explain. Now, in our mixes, because we have more output, we tend to use them abusively in a way, but it's for the importance of what we want to do. Okay, because our mixes are on stereo. That is why when I play the size 8 tom, you hear it on your left ear. If I play the floor tom, you hear it on your right ear. It's because of the stereo signals we have done. Okay, so 2, 2, 2 for each each player. Only Hepta uses mono. So if I play the size 8, all the other guys are listening to it on their left ear. Only Hepta is listening to the center. Okay, so that is that. Good. So in our setting, everybody has a different mix. But what we post online is the mix coming from Ime's feed, okay? Because he has one shot of the video and then it is his feed that's also coming out. And I'll explain that in our next itinerary, which is the how to record with your in-ear, okay? So in your church, if you want to set up the in-ear monitoring system, is either you have your analog system, like I said, you use the aux channel. Either you buy one of these. Mostly I recommend you buy the 4 input channel because it is less costly. If you are 6-member band, that means you need to buy 2 of this so that maybe 3 people can share the other and then the other 3 people also share the other. That means I'm going to have 2 channels from the aux coming into each of these, okay? Unlike ours that we have 9 output coming from the board. Good. Now, that is that for that. You can also use your analog mixer to set up your in-ear system. It doesn't spoil anything. In the same vein, supposedly we don't have the Behringer amps, in-ear amps. We can use our, let's say, our 8 output analog mixer board. What we need to do is that we just take the output onto the input of the board, and then out of the output on the channel or on the mixer board, we just listen to it. We just get an external cables and we are listening to it. Okay, so that explains that. Now, how do you record your in-ear monitoring mix like we do in our church? It's either you are using 2 processes, okay? Either you're using the iRig or you're using the sound card. And then each of these has a disadvantage and an advantage, and I'll explain. One, this is iRig 1. It records in mono, okay? We have iRig 2, and then we have iRig Stream, iRig Pre-Stream, and the rest. We use iRig Stream Pro. Unfortunately, Ima is not here, so I cannot show that into you, but I'll show you the process. This is iRig 1, which records in mono. So what we do is that, or what you can do is that, one, you need the in-ear monitoring system before you can record your in-ear monitoring signal or mix. That is a fact you're supposed to know, okay? So let's say I have my Behringer MA400, okay? So in this case, I have 1 input signal, which is coming from the board, okay? And then I have 4 outputs. The output is where I'm supposed to listen to, okay? So let's say the input is coming to this. This is the input channel, okay? From the mixer board or the stage box or whatever. And then I'm listening from channel, let's say, channel 1 to this place, okay? So my feed is coming from here, and then I'm listening from channel 1, okay? The advantage of this, like I said, is that 4 people can listen to this at a time, and then you can also gain up each channel. So let's say I'm listening from channel 1, and I want to record. I have extra 3 slots to use. What I'll do is that I'll just get a jack to jack, and then I'll connect to, let's say, channel 2. And then this, the end of the jack to jack also goes into the iRig. And then the iRig goes into my phone. And then I'll record from my camera. Okay, so the iRig is allowing you to record your feed through your phone camera. That is the basic function of the iRig. Now, the iRig will not make your sound sweet. Just get to know that if the input signal is bad, output signal is going to be bad. Garbage in, garbage out, and it's as simple as that. The iRig is not doing anything. It's just allowing you to record your mix or your output sound through your phone camera, and it ends there. If it is mono, you're going to hear the sound in mono. If you're using iRig Stream Pro, which is stereo, that means you're going to record in stereo. And let me show you how that thing is also done. The same process, okay? Now, the iRig Stream Pro stereo, we said we have 2 mono channels going out, okay? So in the same vein, I'm using the 4 output sound in-ear amp, sorry. So I'm listening from channel 1. I have 3 extra slots to listen from. Because the iRig Stream Pro has 2 RCA cables, which is left and right, that means I'll need 2 feeds coming from the in-ear amp to the RCA. The RCA is that red and white cable mostly used for TVs and stuff like that. That's the RCA cable. So what I would need is that I'll get a stereo jack, okay, to an 8-inch, this cable, okay. So the feed is coming from here, and I'm supposed to listen to any of this. So what I'll do is that, let me take this cable out here and place it on, let's say, channel 2. Okay, this is going to the iRig. So this will be here, and these two cables will go to the RCA of the iRig Stream Pro. So I have stereo channel coming from the board, which is coming to here, and then this output is going on a stereo mode to be recorded on the iRig Stream Pro, and then it's recorded through my phone straight up. Now, what is the advantage of the iRig? The advantage of the iRig is that it doesn't allow you to use any external app to record, unlike the sound card, and I'll explain. The iRig also allows you to go on stream using Prism Live, or you can just go straight to your social media handles, and then you are live, and the sound is intact. Just that you have to know that each social media handle has its own dB or limiter. Okay, so sometimes the sound tends to be a little distorted, so you have to take that thing also in mind. So that is that. Now, what if I don't want to use the iRig? Okay, that is where the sound card comes in. And in using the sound card, there are two processes to do that. Is either you're going through the sound card to the DAW section, or the DAW process like you normally do, like you are recording a keyboard or a bass into a digital audio workstation, or use the Type-C option. That is where these two guys come in, okay? Now, if I'm using a sound card that doesn't have a Type-C option, like Behringer and Presonus and the rest, what I would tend to do is that, again, my 4 output sound card in-ear amp will come into play. I'm listening from one channel, and in the same vein, I'm taking one channel from the output to the input of the sound card, and I'll connect the sound card to the DAW, and I'll record like I'm recording a normal keyboard or bass onto a DAW. I don't know if I'm making sense. So, same vein, this is a 4 output signal channel, in-ear monitoring amp. I'm listening from channel 1. I have extra 3 slots, 2, 3, and 4. So, same vein, I want to use this channel, okay? So, this is my 8-inch jack, and this is my stereo 16-inch jack. So, this 16-inch jack will go into the channel 1, let's say channel 1 and channel 2 for the sound card. And I'll connect the sound card to the DAW by the MIDI cable, this. So in this case, I'm recording the feed onto the DAW, but I'm not doing a multi-tracking. Why? Because I'm just having a stereo recording of the feed, because I'm just having 2 signals being recorded onto the DAW. Okay, so I just connect to the DAW, and then I'll record my in-ear to this DAW whilst I'm still listening through this. Okay, but if it had been the MA400, I wouldn't have done that, because this is a one input signal with an output signal, one output signal. So I cannot just listen and record at the same time. You can only do this when you have an audio splitter. So the audio splitter gives you 2 outputs. So if I connect the audio splitter here, that means I have a left and I have a right. Okay, so I'll connect that like I'm doing this. So in that case, I've converted the single output channel to a double or a 2-channel output. Okay, so one goes into my ear, the other goes into the iRig, and it's being recorded on the DAW. What if I don't want to use the DAW section? Okay, I don't want to use recording onto the DAW or whatever. That is where the Type-C comes in. And the Focusrite gives you the Type-C option. Okay, we all know the Type-C is for powering the device. Okay, and then research has also been said that the Type-C can also be used for a recording. The process is different. How is it different? Now, same process. I have my 4 output in-ear amp. Okay, I'm listening from channel 1, and then I have extra 3 slots or 3 slots. Then I'm going to use the channel 2 with this. Okay, so channel 2, and then my stereo jack goes into the sound card channel 1 and 2. It can also be an XLR cable. It doesn't matter. Okay. Then I'm not using the DAW section. I want to use the Type-C section. An app has to come into play. There's an app on the channel on the internet called Open Camera. Okay. That allows you to record from the Focusrite through the Type-C option. That's the only app that allows you to do that. Okay, so I'll download the Open Camera, I'll open that, and then I'll connect my Type-C here. And then the Type-C goes into my phone. Okay, and then I'll record this stereo sound into my phone, straight up. Disadvantage of this is that it drains power because the Type-C is supposed to power your sound card, but in this case, you're using that same power to record. So that means your battery will tend to drain. The other aspect is that you cannot use this system or the DAW system to stream live. Okay, so I cannot record through this and still stream. It is never possible. You can only stream with the iRig, whether it's mono or stereo. Only the iRig allows you to do that. So these are the processes we tend to do in our church service, and then we post online. So what we do in the church service is that either we are using the iRig Stream Pro or we are using the Type-C, but mostly we use the Type-C option because it's quite simpler. Okay, so in our church, Ima has one shot of the video with the recording. So let's say the setup is like this, from the 4 amp in-ear 4 output amp to the Focusrite through his phone. So he has one shot of the video with the sound. So whatever mix he has done is the mix that's going to post online. Then we, the rest of the band, we recorded our natural phones, and then after that we post edit with Adobe Premiere Pro, CapCut or whatever, and then post online. The other aspect is when I post a video, I have band cues. You might post a video, there's no band cues. Because when you're playing stems in church, the Ableton is routed in such a way that the band cues comes into my ear only. It doesn't come into Ima's mix. Okay, it comes into my ear only. So I listen to that. So after that, I can also use my mix to post online. So that is what mostly we do. I guess I've done justice to your doubt. So let me go over. I said, if you want to record your in-ear, you need an in-ear monitoring amp, and then you need either a sound card or an iRig. Okay, so these processes are different, and so that is what I have for you today. Another time, I'm going to talk about the P16 and the DP48. So keep watching the channel, and you're going to be blessed. I hope this video blesses you enough. Bye bye. We shall meet on another time.